once upon a time in a world of magic, light, and darkness.
Elyssa sat by the fountain in the courtyard of the Order of the Light's headquarters in Lumina, the gentle splash of water the only sound in the stillness. She stared at the ripples on the surface, trying to find a sense of calm amidst the turmoil in her heart. The courtyard was quiet, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, but her mind was anything but peaceful. She had been so sure she would see him today. The Casitan had returned to Lumina on the same day she had, and yet somehow she had missed him. She replayed the moment in Maja Haren's office over and over in her mind, wondering how she could have been so close and yet so far. Maja Haren's words echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the futility of her longing. I will not get what I seek. Elyssa whispered to herself, repeating Maja Haren's words as if saying them out loud would make them easier to bear. But they only seemed to cut deeper, the truth in them like a knife twisting in her chest. What is it that you seek, but cannot have? The voice was calm, steady, and all too familiar. Alyssa's heart skipped a beat as she turned, and there he was. The Casitan stood just a few steps away, his presence as commanding and serene as ever. She scrambled to her feet, trying to compose herself and perform the official salute, her movements precise but a little too quick. He returned her salute with a graceful nod, his eyes studying her with a mixture of curiosity and kindness. "Please sit," he said, motioning to the stone bench beside her. "There's no need for formality here." Elyssa hesitated, but then nodded and sat down, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure he could hear it. The Casitan took a seat as well, a respectable distance away, but close enough for her to feel the warmth of his presence. "What is it that you seek?" he asked again, his voice gentle, almost coaxing. "You said it was something unattainable." Elyssa swallowed hard, her hands clenching into fists in her lap. She forced herself to take a deep breath to calm the racing of her heart. "It's nothing important," she lied, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "I'm just reminding myself to work harder, to improve, to grow."
The Casitan's gaze remained on her, unwavering, as if he could see through the mask she was trying so desperately to maintain. "You're already remarkable, Elyssa, the greatest duelist in the world." His words sent a flush of warmth through her, but she shook her head, looking away. "We both know that's not true," she said softly, her voice tinged with bitterness. "But it is," Casitan insisted, his tone firm but kind. There is no one else in this world who holds that title as you do. Elyssa looked around the courtyard, her eyes darting nervously. Is there a way we can speak without being overheard? She asked, her voice barely more than a whisper, either by sound or by other means. The Casitan regarded her for a long moment, his expression thoughtful. You want me to use magic to shield our conversation? He asked softly, his voice so gentle that it seemed to brush against her like a whisper of wind. Elyssa hesitated, then nodded, her heart in her throat. I'm just curious if it's possible. For a moment, he seemed to weigh her words, then he murmured something under his breath, a few soft, indistinct words that seemed to melt into the air. Elyssa felt a sudden warmth envelop her, a strange sensation that made her shiver despite the heat. She opened her mouth to ask what was happening, but her voice sounded different, echoing inside her, filling her mind and body, but not escaping into the air around her. What is this? She asked, her voice resonating through her very being. The Casitan's voice followed, a soft, intimate whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I'm showing you that what you asked is possible. This is just a demonstration. Anything you say now will remain between us. No one will be able to hear it. No one will be able to sense it. Alyssa's heart pounded even harder, the sensation overwhelming. She turned to face him, trying to catch his eyes, but he was looking away, his expression distant, as if to give her the space she needed. She struggled to find the words to say what had been burning inside her for so long. But then he spoke again, his voice even softer, almost a caress. Remember, Elyssa, whatever you take away from this conversation, whatever you carry with you can be read by those who know how. Consider this carefully, even for a demonstration. Elyssa bit her lip, his words pulling her back from the precipice she had been so close to jumping off of. She took a deep breath, gathering her courage. I know you're the true greatest duelist in the world, she said, her voice trembling but clear in the strange, intimate silence that surrounded them. You won the tournament that was voided, sealed from the records, because you're a Casitan, and they couldn't acknowledge that a Casitan won. All the past Casitan winners were erased from history. I know this. She hesitated, the weight of her confession pressing down on her. I appreciate your kind words, but I'm not ignorant. I know you're the greatest duelist alive, and I want. Her voice faltered, her heart feeling as if it would burst. I want your instruction, your training, so I can become a better duelist. The Casitan sighed, the sound vibrating through her like a melancholy note in a beautiful song. "You're mistaken, Elyssa," he said gently. "A Casitan could never be the best duelist in the world, and I could never train you or anyone else. It would be unthinkable, offensive even, to suggest such a thing. You are the greatest duelist. That is your role in the order of the light." She started to protest, but he continued, his voice a soft, insistent murmur that wrapped around her like a cocoon. "We all have our roles to play, Elyssa. They're all valuable, all necessary for the will of the great God and the almighty light. We are all instruments in their hands. Don't underestimate what you represent, what you mean to the order." His voice grew softer, his words almost brushing against her thoughts, her soul. "Sometimes a little theater helps to keep the peace. Don't try to step off the stage, Elyssa. The world needs you. Everyone needs you." He hesitated, and then his next words were so soft, so intimate, that they sent a shiver down her spine. "I need you."
The magic ended abruptly, the sounds and sensations of the world crashing back in around her. Elyssa blinked, startled by the sudden return of noise and light. She glanced at the Casitan, her heart a wild, chaotic mess inside her chest. But he was calm, composed, his expression serene as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. "How are the students progressing in their training?" he asked casually, his tone light and conversational. The change of topic was a lifeline, something for her to grasp onto as she struggled to rein in her emotions. "They're doing well," she managed, her voice steadying as she focused on the familiar topic. "The prototag is progressing beyond all expectations. His skill is already so high, he could probably handle missions now, though he needs more experience." The Casitan nodded thoughtfully. "You and Gon Vizzle have done excellent work with them. They're lucky to have you as their instructor." Elyssa felt a flush of pride at his words, but she quickly pushed it aside, nodding her thanks. "Thank you, sir." He stood then, and she quickly followed suit, her heart still racing but her face composed. They exchanged the official salutes, their movements precise and formal. "Thank you for the conversation, Elyssa," he said, his voice as calm and polite as ever. "I must take my leave now." "Of course," she replied, bowing slightly. "Thank you, sir." He turned and walked away, his steps steady and unhurried. Elyssa watched
But even as she fled, one thought echoed in her mind, over and over. He needs me.